Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be making an inspection system. So a quick demo of what we're going to be making. So you have this cube here, and when you click E, it goes into your viewport, and you can rotate it on any axis. And if you press your back button, the item disappears and the cube spawns back. So let's get started. Alright, before we dive into blueprints, there is some setup we need to do. So I'm making a new folder in blueprints, right click, new folder, I'm calling this Structs. Open it, right click, make a new structure, I'm calling it S for struct, in short, underscore inspection settings. Here we define the individual inspection settings if you're inspecting an actor. The first one will be called offset and will be of type vector. The second one is distance. This will be of type float. And the third one will be rotator. And the fourth one is read, or text, I should say. That's a bit better. And that will be of type text. And then we can save this. Next up, we're making a new input for the inspection. So when you're inspecting, there are three things you want to use, such as rotating, reading, and a back button. So in blueprints, and then it should be in, let me see, IMC. It's not in here. IMC default, show in Explorer, show it in folder view. For this we just duplicate it, call this IMC inspect. We can open it immediately and just delete all these mappings. And then we need 3 new ones. So in actions, just duplicating move, call this IA rotate, duplicate it again. This will be back. And the last one will be read. And for the rotate, we do have some extra settings. So you have to open it up. And then it's axis 2D vector, that's correct. Then probably back is not correct, which should be a digital bool. And the other one we made, which is read, is also a digital bool. Now we open IMC inspect. The first one we're going to add is rotate. And then we add 2 bindings. First one is mouse XY 2D axis. Third one is gamepad right thumbstick, and then let me see if I can find it, 2D axis. This one as well. And for the mouse, we do want to have a modifier called negate. And then for the gamepad, we also make a modifier called dead zone. And then we add a new mapping. This is just back. For now, I'm binding it to, let's say, B. B for back, or backspace. B. And then for the gamepad, we make a new one. Gamepad face button right. This one. There's no additional settings you need to do. You just close it back up. I make a new mapping. This is for the back button. Sorry, for the read, not back. So make a new one. This is for read. There we add 2 more. Oh, not 3, 2. And this is for R for reading. And for the gamepad, we'll make it gamepad D-pad down, face button right. For now, we can always change it later. I think this is a good starting point. Now, let's save. Then I'm going to open my component, which is the interaction component. Then we go to the interact actor. I'm making this a collapse node. Let's just interact. And now we have a new branch that we already pre-made in the interaction types, which is inspect. Drag it down. And we're going to make new logic here. First off, we want to change our input mapping. So we get player controller. Player controller. And then we want to get the subsystem. Enhance player local subsystem. And then I want to clear all mappings. Attach this. And then add mapping context. Which is this one. And then make modify options in case you need to change anything here. And for this it will be IMC inspect. Okay, I'm gonna select all this, collapse node, inspection. And now we can open it separately. Makes it a bit more easy to work on. All right, now we've done this. Next up, I'm going to get a is a valid node. Oh, not branch. Is a valid. And then if it's not valid, we want to create widget. We currently don't have the widget, so I'm just going to create one for now. Making a new folder. Inspect. Widget blueprint. Yes. WB underscore inspect. I'm not going to open it immediately. We're going to use it later. And then say inspect. Owning player is get player controller. Then drag out a reference, or to make a reference for it. Call this inspect widget ref. And then now we can get it here. So if it's valid, we want to create the widget. And check if it's any good or not. And then we want to add it. If it's valid, we want to add to viewport. Easiest to just get this one. Add to a viewport. And if the inspection widget is already valid like so, you just want to drag the is valid out and immediately drag it to the viewport. So you don't create another widget. It's already valid, which means there's already a reference. If you're closing the inspection, we're going to delete the reference. So when you inspect again, it's creating the reference again. So you don't have the same reference stored throughout the whole game, which takes up unnecessary resources or memory in this case. Then we can compile this, save. Now the next thing, we're going to go into the inspection widget ref, or in an inspection widget. I'm going to get a canvas panel. Drag it in. Then afterwards you get a size box or scale box. Select it. We're going to anchor it to the full screen. Then we want a render target, which is just an image. So we drag out an image. For this one also, make it fully fit the screen. And for the material, we're going to create that right now. So we're going to go back to materials, inspect, and going back one more for textures. Make a new folder, this is for inspect. We're going to open this one first. We can make the actual render target, which is in textures, render target. I'm going to make it RT, short for render target, underscore inspect. I'm going to open it up immediately. Since it's going to be in the full screen, we're going to make this 1920 and size wide by 1080p. And I don't think we should change any more than that, because that's all you need. I'm gonna right click on it, create material, mi underscore inspect. And we're gonna drag this in the materials folder, which is in this case inspect. All right. Then we can open it up like so. And material domain is user interface. Blend mode is translucent. Drag this out a bit. RGB straight into the final color. For the alpha, we're going to do the -1 or the 1-. And this will go into the opacity. Now we can save this. If we go back to our widget, we can then search for mi underscore inspect and select it. Perfect. Let me also rename this to render target. Next, I'm going to add a border, the canvas panel as well, making it fit the whole screen. And then for brush tint, make this a 0. And then also important that I make the Z order to -2, so it's in the back and not in the front. That's important because I'm going to add a blur to the screen. So if you're inspecting an item, you won't see the full environment behind it, which is just your normal player's camera view. So it's a bit blurred. In my opinion, it looks a bit better, but it's important you have this Z order -2. If you don't do it, you can have the problem that the blur's in front of your inspection as well, which makes it hard for the player to see what they're inspecting. For the blur strength, it wouldn't be really big, so let's say 4 or like 3. I think 3 is good for now. We can save this. And now let's set up the actual logic for inspecting. So for that, we're going to make a new blueprint. I'm going to go blueprints, actor. I'm going to make a new one called inspect. Open it up. Make a new class of type actor, bp underscore inspected underscore item. We can immediately open it up. So what I'm going to add in here is a scene capture 2D. Then we're going to add 2 point lights. This is 1. And this is light 2. And for the position, I do want to have them below the camera. So let's say drag these 2 out. And I think have this on 150. And for this one, I'm going to make it -180. That's good. And the second one is also -180. And then the opposite, which is -150. Okay, looks good. Now we can open the event graph, remove these 2. I'm going to make 2 custom events. The first one I'm going to call onInspect created. The second one is custom event rotate actor. Let's first make the rotation logic. So on the actual node itself, we're going to make an input. I'm going to call this direction, which is a vector 2D, which is this one. Then I'm going to drag it out, break it. And then also don't forget, I need an item that we're going to inspect. So I'm going to make a static mesh, calling it item. And we should move it a bit out of the camera, so it's not like directly in the view. So let's say we just keep this on 0. We just move the camera a bit back. think around -1, 10 probably is good. Okay, let's get back. Then we're gonna drag out the item of the scene capture. Then we set relative rotation. This goes in here. Then for the X, we're gonna multiply with 1. You can copy it as well for the Y, which is 1. And then we're gonna drag out the item, get the relative rotation. Then I say combine rotators. Split this one. And this will be the Z in this case. And this will be the Y, which is the pitch. And then attach it to rotation. Move this a bit up. Okay. And now when the inspection is created, which means when it's spawned in the world, you want to set it up with the correct settings, or with the correct mesh, with the correct offset and the correct direction from it. So we're going to get item. We want to set static mesh, because by default it's empty, which means you're going to see nothing in the render target. So you want to set the mesh. Immediately attach it on the custom event. Next up, you want to set the relative location, which will be the offset we'll be creating. For this one also, attaching it to the custom event. Now for the scene capture, which will be the distance from the actor, you want to set a relative location as well. And then this is a bit different, because I'm going to make one myself. I'm going to call this distance from camera, which will be of type vector or float. A reroute node. I'm going to multiply by -1. And I'm going to make a vector, not make a noise. Make a vector. And then make sure this is on X, and then on new location, so the camera only moves in this direction, and not other directions, because then it won't be in the viewport. Okay, perfect. And the last one is also the item, and then set a relative rotation, so the starting location of where the actor is spawned at. Add this as well. Perfect. And then save this. So this is everything we need to do in the BP inspected item. Before we continue with setting up the widget and spawning the inspecting item, there's a small change I want to make to the system to make it a bit more easier for us. So I'm going to make a new struct, which we made here. Blueprints, struct s_set item settings. We can open it up. And for this, I'm going to get the enum, which is the, let me add it first, e_interact method, interaction type. I'll call this interaction type, so it matches. And the second one will be the struct we made previously, which is s_inspection settings. Inspect settings. Okay. And then on our interface we made, which is the interaction, I'm gonna make a new one, which I already see is called get item data. So I'm gonna make this a new one. And for that, get settings or item settings. Then we're going to add our new previously made struct, which is s_item settings. Okay. And now let's open our master, which is this one. And you see this doesn't work, so it's important that we add this text as well. So on item settings, we're making a third one, which is called item name. So it still works in what we made in previous tutorials. Okay. And then in our master, we want to add this as well, which is item settings of type s_item settings. Then attach it here so it gets our item settings like that. Then for item name, we can remove that. And then in our component, we can remove this. And then this as well. So on interact, you want to get, what did we name it? Let me see, get item data. Drag it out, get item data message, which should be this one. And then we're going to break it in, we're going to set it, not break it. Going to make a reference for it, which will be called core settings. And then on here, move this a bit more back. I'm going to drag out core settings. I'm going to break it. And then we're going to get the interaction type. So we don't need these two. We're going to get our interaction method in this case, which should switch on either interact or inspect. I see we have a error. That's because it doesn't recognize the old one. This can be still here. And then remove this pin. Gonna break this. Then I see item name is a struct, just not correct. It's text. Let me save this. Then we don't need these two. We only need the item name. And we can compile it. We can quickly test to see if it's still working as it should. As you can see, it still displays E. It works perfectly. And you see that when I interact, it displays a message. So in theory, if I should switch, make the item settings instant editable. And if I then switch from default to inspect, it shouldn't display anything then. Oh, you see it opens my widget. I forgot I already had to set up. So if I open this one, which is default, just say hello. This displays hello text and I can interact. The second one I switch to inspect. You can see it opens my inspection widget and it takes away my movement. So I'm not able to move since I'm inspecting currently, which is perfect. Now let's set up the actual spawning of the interaction or inspection actor. Let me clean up the top bar a bit. It's a bit more tidier than that. We don't need this one for now. You see inspection. All right. Let's get back on this. Before we set up the widget, I want to finish this one first, and then we're going to make the actual widget itself. So after we're interacting or want to inspect, just as you saw, this one is still visible in the background, which I personally don't like since you're inspecting the actor. So it's weird that you have two of them. So when you're inspecting, which is here, you want to set actor hidden in game. And new hidden is true. And now we want to spawn our BP inspected item, which means it's going to spawn into the world and then we can inspect that one. So I'm going to make a new function. Spawn inspection actor. I'm going to drag it out. Say spawn actor from class, which is BP underscore inspected item. And then for transform, we're going to make one. Not relative. Make transform. It's important that you, for the location on the X, make sure it's a really big number. I'm just going to do a bunch of zeros since you want to have it out of the scene. if you don't add as much, and I know this exists if you use Ultra Dynamic Sky Pack from Fab, if you don't spawn it far enough, you're gonna have the environment mess up your inspection. It means it's really bright or it's really dark depending on your game. So make sure it's out of that, so the lighting from the inspected item just lights up the actor and nothing else. So make sure the spawning is a really big number. Right after that, we want to spawn our inspection actor. So for return value, I do want to make this into a variable. It's just inspection ref, so we can also remove it when we don't need it anymore. And then we're gonna drag this out. And this, now we're gonna call the custom event we've made, which is called onInspectCreated. Now you can see we have all these settings that we're gonna fill, which should be from core settings, and then break, since you still have a reference for it. And then we're gonna split the inspection settings. We don't need these other ones. So for inspect setting offset, distance, and the inspect rotator, I see it's not a rotation value. So let me quickly change that. Oh, it does look like it's correct, but what is it messing up with? Inspect setting rotation. It says it's a boolean. That should not be correct. And I see I forgot mesh in my settings, so let me quickly change this as well. I'm going to make a new one. Move this all the way on the top, which is item mesh of type static mesh. Okay, and now we can attach this one here. This one still looks like a boolean, which is weird. I think I have it in the struct incorrectly. Yeah. Rotator, not boolean. Now we can attach this. Looks like it's because I changed it, the reference is not correct anymore. Let me see why. I think it's because my other struct is not correct. Go to blueprints, structs, item settings. Looks like it's messing up here. Cannot parse. What is not correct here? Let me just add these inspection settings again. Inspection settings s_inspect. Okay, let me save this. Now if we go back, it should work correctly. Okay, break. This one as well. We don't need these other two. And then this is the mesh, the location, offset, distance, and the rotator. Tags are gonna get back on later, but it's not important for now. Okay, this is perfect. Now we actually have the item spawning. Now let's get back to the interaction, which is here. All we gotta do here is drag this back. Get our spawn inspection actor, attach it, and if we go into the world and change this to our newly created struct, cube, distance, say 10 to see what happens. If I inspect, nothing seems to be appearing. Let me just increase the distance. Could be that it's just behind the camera right now. Still not visible. Let me see if I missed something. Oh, I didn't attach my render target. render target. And now if I look at it, it's really close to my screen. So let me just make it 200, larger value. And now the cube is still now visible. Nice center in the screen, but yeah, there's no way for me to move it. So that's the next step we're gonna do. So next up, I do want to have the rotation functionality, so we can rotate the item when we're inspecting it, instead of having just flatten your screen. For that, I'm gonna open BBC interaction, go to the event graph, make a new custom event, call this inspection rotation. And we're gonna make an input, call this direction. And this should be of type vector 2D. This one. I'm gonna call my inspection actor ref, check if it's valid. Branch it. I'm getting my inspection reference again. And I'm gonna call rotate actor on the true. Then we can attach it like this. And then next up, we're going to go into the character. In the event graph, I'm going to make new input here. IA underscore rotate. Then we're going to get the BBC interaction component. And we're going to call the inspection rotation on the triggered. And then attach it like this, compile and save. Make a comment from this, inspection, inspect action. Oh. Make it same color so it fits nice. And now let's test it out. So if I move my mouse left, right, top to bottom. And now I can inspect. But the next problem is, you've probably noticed as well, there's no way for me on going back to playing normal. So let's set that up next. So to make us able to go back, we're going to go into the BBC interaction again. New function. Call this stop inspecting. And then we're going to drag out our widget. Then the set active we've made. Then close to true. Then we're going to update our input mapping to our existing one, which is the default. So you can just copy it from the initial time we change it, which is this one. So copy all this. Then stop inspecting. Attach it like this. Then we're going to get our inspection ref again. I do want to check if it's valid, because if you don't do this here, you're going to get sometimes the error that it's trying to access none. So just in case, I'm just adding this is valid node to make sure that we can destroy it. And if it's not already destroyed, so if people spam it, you can have these issues. So we say destroy actor. Okay. And then for the interaction actor, I want to set actor hidden in game to true now, which means it's going back. Otherwise, the widget, the actual actor we're inspecting, will never go back. And then for inspection, reference to 0, and then for the widget as well to none. Now let's go into the player character again. And I want to call IA underscore back. And then we get BBC interaction. We call stop inspecting. Hold started. Make a comment from this. Call this back action. And let's test it out. If I remember correctly, it should be on the B button. So if I press B, Does go back, but there seems to be something with my movement because I'm not able to move now. So let's check why that's not working currently. And that's because I didn't set my default back. And I also noticed that my interaction actor is not hidden or unhidden. So I click E, can nicely rotate. I click B, and I'm back to normally playing. When my mouse is back, I can move. And if I inspect again, you see the cube disappearing behind. I go back, fades out nicely, and I can just go back to normal gameplay. So yeah, that's one of the parts I want to do for the inspection system. I do want to make readable pages and notes, but since this video is already getting too long, I'm gonna probably make it into sections. So the next one will be the a small note system that's included with it, making able to read text like lore that you have on specific items that you can press R to read, and that you have multiple pages that you can skip through like a book. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you want to get this project for yourself, link is in the description, and I hope you like this and have a nice day.